Hello and welcome to Pub 502. This is our shortened summer semester, so buckle up, it's going to go by very quickly. This brief lecture is to orient you to the class overall so that you can start the content on the right foot. The format of the class is asynchronous, meaning we don't have any mandatory live meetings. Instead, the class is guided by weeks with content in each week. The week starts on Monday. The content that I give you is for the entire week. There are no mandatory class meetings, either virtually or in person, for this class. Lectures, including what I'm going to chop up into mini lectures, will be posted on Mondays, usually on Mondays with a few exceptions. And assignments are due on the following Sunday. I think that's true of all of them, although there might be an exception or two on there. I think the final exam is an exception to that rule. So the final exam might be the exception, but generally assignments are due on the following Sunday. Via Blackboard, again, usually with a few exceptions, the Google Drive being a big one in this class. So one note that isn't on here about our lectures is that many of them I have recorded for the class that I did online in the fall, and the content is still quite fresh. There's a couple of them that I will update, either in whole or in part, but that is kind of what I will use. So if you see me in a different background or with slightly different hair, you'll understand why. There are going to be some optional virtual live sessions. I'm going to run those not necessarily as a full class, but more as a kind of question and answer session. Based on student preference. So I included in a survey that you will take this week a question about time and day preferences that work for you. I'm going to see if this works. You know, there's only 8 of you in the class, plus me equals 9, so hopefully we can schedule something that's mutually advantageous for everybody. 3 case studies will anchor our semester and act as your exams throughout the semester leading up to that final exam. And then we'll have this Google Drive, which will include your introductions to your classmates and to me, a class notes document that we will be collaborating on, more on that in a minute, and an article analysis memos folder. Every student will be doing one. Again, more on this in just a moment. So here is the point values for the class. And you can see each of them, they're all in the syllabus. I'm not going to run through everything. I did, in the past slide, I think the one main thing that wasn't in there, or maybe 2 plus final exam, although I mentioned that, is the bias and privilege analysis. Other than that, it's pretty contained within this case study and the Google Drive elements of the class. There are no weekly reading summaries or reading quizzes. We're just going to be moving too quickly to keep up with that this semester. So my expectations of you are both simple, but I think sometimes hard to commit to. I expect that you'll put forth the effort and engage in some time management here. That's going to be crucial in this class as it's a truncated semester and we'll be moving fairly quickly. I expect that you'll be engaging in participation through the class notes document, and then if you do show up to those optional live sessions, those as well, and to do so respectfully. I expect that you engage in academic honesty. I explain what this means and what plagiarism means on the syllabus, and I hope that you read that and take it to heart. My expectation is that you will be academically honest in this class. And then, of course, maintaining contact via email and Blackboard. And for us, that'll also include this Google Drive assignment as well. Your expectations of me are also somewhat simple and straightforward, but also definitely important and not always easy to carry through on in the summer in particular. But we will work on this together. Provision of course content and framework, that's my job. And I take it very seriously. There are reasons why I'm choosing the content that I am choosing, especially in this course where we have kind of such a short time together, what I am prioritizing over other things. You can expect me to make time for you outside of class. We don't have a set class time, so that kind of speaks for itself. But in terms of email, I do ask that you give me 24 to 48 hours at least to get back to you. Typically, I try and get back to you as soon as I can, but my inbox is always full, but I will say since we have left campus, has just been probably twice as full as it usually is. Just because things that could be a quick conversation have turned into emails every single time. So I do try and sort through them and cull them down and whatnot. But if you haven't heard back from me in 72 hours, go ahead and resend it because there's a chance that I missed it and it got buried, especially with Gmail. I will have office hours. I'm going to use our virtual time as office hours once we set that time. I'm available on Twitter, but I ask that you not use that for individual assignments. However, I do post things relevant to politics, policy, public administration there. You can expect me to answer your questions, to return work to you within a reasonable time frame, and really to make this course worth your time. I know it's not the most exciting course that you may have signed up for, at least by title and description, but it's very important, and I hope that once you get out of it, you'll actually find it very much worth your effort. Technological requirements. Reliable internet access. And I know that's very hard for some of us right now when everybody's at home to have that internet be reliable all the time. Luckily for you, the content here is asynchronous, meaning you can watch it when the internet is working for you. Ability to read PDFs. We will have many readings that are outside of the book, and so therefore PDFs will be provided for you, so the ability to read those. Ability to watch video lectures. I upload everything to YouTube and provide a class YouTube link as we get going here, and so that actually should help you access that material a little bit easier. It also allows you to do really easy closed captioning and things like that. And then you need word processing and PDF capability and access to the Google Drive, which you do all have via your UMich email address. But as I ask you on that intro survey, which I'll mention at the end here, one of the things I ask is if there's another email you want me to allow access to that folder for, because not everybody is signed in under their UMich email at all times. And so I recognize that it might be important, especially if you're trying to access by a mobile device, for you to use a different email address for that. So an overview of this Google Drive thing I keep talking about. One of the things I really wanted to try in this class, especially with this shortened semester, is a way for us to curate content together as we move through what I have laid out for you as readings and videos. I want us together to kind of curate our own class outline, class notes. And the reason why I thought this was important is because it allows us to have interaction. It takes that kind of stifled nature of the discussion board out of it, but allows people to reflect on the readings, ask questions of me that I can put right back in the document for everybody to read, or put the answers right back in the document for everybody to read, comment on, etc. It allows you to talk with one another, and you can say things like, this week's readings were really hard, or I took issue with this one article. I don't think that that's actually how this works, and here's why. I wanted it to be a little more free-flowing, and so that we're creating something together. So that first component, the class notes component, means that every week I want you going in, you'll type your name first, and then you'll start typing kind of an overview of a reflection on what you thought the readings brought to kind of bear for us. Reading, troubles with the readings, things you really thought, God, that's really on point, or questions about them, questions that you want to pose to your fellow classmates, or questions you want to ask me for clarification. So we're going to keep that all in that one running Google document. In the Drive, you'll also see two folders. One is for these article analysis memos, and the other is for introductions. The article analysis memos, many of you who have had a course with me know that I usually do some form of student-led content production. So there will be, if you look on the schedule, there are readings that are mandatory, and then there are readings that are reported readings. Everyone has to choose one of those, and as part of the survey that you'll complete this week, have you rank which ones you want to do. Here's what's different this time. Instead of having to turn them in at the week that they're due, you just have to turn them in sometime by the end of the semester. I think I give you up until August 2nd because at that point people will start working on the final exam. So you have several weeks to complete them no matter when the article pops up in our reading. What I highly suggest is that you do it, as soon as it pops up in the schedule and kind of put it there, get it out of the way, and so on. But that's up to you. You can wait all the way up to August 2nd, or you can get it in there earlier. The idea is that when it comes time to take the final exam, in front of you, you will have this class notes document. You might have your own personal notes. And then you'll have these article analysis memos that you can incorporate into your essay answers or answer on that final exam. So we're curating content together. Now, I will say, if I am seeing high levels of participation, back and forth, lots of reflection on this class notes document, I may shorten the final exam because I've seen that you've kind of grappled with that material throughout the semester. So that's incentive to start to kind of do well on that because that takes away that extra burden on all of us, really, on me, on having to grade extra long final exams, but on you and having to recapitulate that when we've been discussing it throughout the semester. So hopefully that's incentive enough to get you on board with that part of it. And then there's an introductions folder. I did my introduction, my version of what the introduction would look like for me. And you'll just upload that or draft it in a Google Doc in there. I will show you now how to do that. So for those of you who have never used Google Drive before, or those of you who are confused as to how to find it, you need to be logged in to, as of right now, your Google account through U of M. I have put the link up on the Blackboard page under course information. Hold on, it's going to take a moment. Under course content, you'll see class Google Drive here, and that'll take you right to it. After the next week, I'm going to make sure that only we in the class have access to it, but I want to make it a little bit open now, so anybody who has the link can technically get to it. Close the duplicate window here. So as you see, it's exactly what I said. There's the introductions folder, the article analysis memos folder, and this class notes. In the introductions, you'll see mine in there right now. It'll open up. You can read it. You guys can go ahead and comment on these or other people's. And just so you know how to comment, you can do it a couple of ways. One is to just go at the bottom and say, hey, cool intro. You're the best. Smiley face. Jane Doe. Right? You could do something like that. Or the way that you're supposed to do it in a more technical fashion is actually as you're going, you'll see this pop up. You can add a comment and then it'll log who added the comment. You can also just highlight and it'll say that's what the comment is about, right? I see a grammatical error. See, I fixed my own too. So that is how that works. Outside of introductions, the article analysis memos, you can just upload these, and to upload something to the drive, you go to New, File Upload, and then it's just a matter of selecting what file it is. Another thing you can do, although I wouldn't recommend with the article analysis memos, but it can definitely work for the introductions, is go New, Google Docs, and actually create and share, and you can draft it right within the folder. You'll just need to make sure to put a title on it up here and start working down here. If you haven't used Google Docs before, it's very much like Microsoft Word, almost kind of to a T. So going back to the drive, the last thing you'll find is this class notes document. And this is where we will be collaborating on content. So when you come in here, I will put up the week that we're in each week. And then as I've said here, put your name before the comments. So and then I can start my comments, right? This, week's readings were really difficult to understand for me. Here's why. I have questions about how X works. Can you help with that? Also, what do you guys think about the concept of Y? I think it could work in theory, but not in practice, or whatever, right? And then, as we're going back through, you know, Jane Doe can come in and add her stuff. Try and make it maybe bold and underlined, and then come here and I also thought the readings were difficult. So on and so forth. And then, you know, what do you think about the concept of why? Well, you can add a comment, or you can just kind of, as to, you know, Jane down here in her part, as to your question, Kim, I think that blah, 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 right? So, I'm going to take this out now. That's how we'll do this. And what this should be is a really good dialogue between everybody about the class content that flows a little bit better. I'm hoping, I think it should, having used this to collaborate on other things in the past, than a discussion board where you have to create threads and things get nested in weird ways. I'm thinking this might lend itself to better discussion, especially since there are only 8 of you. I think it's going to work fairly well. All right, so that is an overview of the Google Drive, why we're using it, and the various components of it. So all of this I know is overwhelming the first week. You'll catch your rhythm soon enough. But here's how to get started. First, watch this lecture. Check. Good job. Second, read the materials that are listed on the syllabus for this week. I believe there's a chapter in the textbook, which, someone moved my stuff. This is what we're using as the textbook. For those of you who had me for 593 last fall, this was also your textbook, so you shouldn't have to buy anything. The reason why I use this in both classes is because, one, you're buying one textbook for 2 classes. I also like that it covers kind of the gamut, and it's a really good kind of bookshelf book. If you don't have to do some of this stuff every day, and you want to go back and think about, okay, what's the SWOT analysis and what's included in that? You know, that type of stuff is easily referenced here. So it really is a practical a book to keep with you after you're done in the program. And then I like to supplement from there. So you'll see what's on what's in the PAC, the Public Administrator's Companion, versus what's on Blackboard on that schedule part of the syllabus. Watch the content lectures. I believe there will be 2 this week. I know 1 for sure. I'm seeing if it needs to be broken down based on time. And then go ahead and complete your introductory post on the Google Drive. And what is extremely important for me is that you complete this survey for class. The link is on Blackboard under course content. This asks some introductory questions that I need to know so I can best help you as your instructor, but also does things like asks about preferred days and times for optional meetings, and asks you for those article analysis memos that everybody has to do, what readings you prefer to do. If you don't have a preference, that's an option too, and I'll just kind of slot you in on what we have left. But if you do have a preference, you can state that there, and I take everybody's top 3 and try and get you one of those. And then I do advise you to put the dates in your schedule right now for things like the assignments, because this is going to go by quickly. For those of you who were in 574 in the spring with me, I think you know it seems like we jump into it and then it's like we're wrapping up already. So those big dates are not really going to change. If anything, I might add a date, but they're not going to change. I'm not going to make it earlier than any of that. So I'm looking forward to this class. I'm looking forward to getting to know you more, and I think we'll have a great semester together. All right, we'll talk soon.